Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So as we are about to head into the Four Nations face-off break, I thought it'd be a fun idea to give you my updated playoff odds percentages because the East is still an absolute shit show. Not only are the two wildcard spots wide open, now the third Atlantic spot is open. The third Metro spot that we thought it was going to be a sure thing, Washington, Carolina, New Jersey. New Jersey has been playing like utter shit the last month or so. So the East is an absolute shit show. And the West, there's still wildcard spots open. One, maybe even two, because Colorado isn't playing that good overall. So we are going to be going through this now. We're going to start with three different buckets in terms of the locks. These teams are 100%. And barring apocalyptic injuries or something insane, they're probably going to win their division. Winnipeg and Washington's going to duke it out for the President's Trophy. 95% plus odds. These teams are all above 60% points percentage. Safe bets. All made the playoffs last year outside of the Minnesota Wild. Yeah, these teams are most likely to make it again unless there are severe injuries. And then kind of dead in the water, less than 2%. These 9 teams. St. Louis was maybe in the mix like 2 weeks ago, but they've been losing some games of late, and everybody else is below 500 in terms of points percentage. After Philadelphia sold, they're not going to be in the mix. So these teams are all dead, and that leaves us with 14 other teams ranging between 2% to 95%. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's not waste any time. And up first, I got the Montreal Canadiens. I'm putting them at 5%. You could arguably throw them in that other low tier, less than 2%, and I maybe wouldn't disagree with you. They've been losing games of late. Kaden Guhle's now out potentially for the rest of the season after suffering a really rough cut. Fun story. I still think that they're going to finish at around 80 to 85 points. This is still a big step for this team in terms of improving. But yeah, in terms of the playoffs, I don't expect them to buy at the deadline like maybe we thought a month ago. They might honestly sell a guy like David Savard, Jake Evans. Will you re-sign him or will you sell him at the deadline? Montreal, good season. Guys have taken steps. But in terms of making the playoffs, it's most likely not happening. And it's not like the success of their season hinges on them making the playoffs like some other teams that we're going to talk about. The Ottawa Senators, I'm going to go with 57%. It's concerning right now. They just lost back-to-back games to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And not only that, Josh Norris was announced a couple days ago that he's out week to week. Pinto took a really awkward hit into the boards. Looked like he hurt his shoulder. So now with Ottawa dealing with some injuries, with not a ton of depth in terms of that forward core, it's definitely concerning. Thankfully, Olmark has come back and Levi Merlinen has been awesome, although now he's in the minors because he's waiver exempt, unlike Forsberg. But yeah, I still think Ottawa will potentially grind it out to make the playoffs. I still would say that they make it, but there's definitely some serious concern compared to 2 games ago when they were heading into that series with Tampa, or not series, but that back-to-back. You thought maybe they could just like solidify that third wild card spot. That did not happen, and now with these injuries, it's a toss-up for the Ottawa Senators at this point. The Columbus Blue Jackets, I'll go with 19%. It's not looking that good for Columbus, if we're going to be honest, considering Monahan's out another 4 to 6 weeks. Marchenko broke his jaw. That's usually like a 6 to 8 week injury, even though that they have the Four Nations face-off break, thankfully, for those guys to heal. Yeah, they had an amazing start, but it's looking like the injuries are catching up to them. And similarly to like a Montreal, it's not like they're going to be going balls to the wall aggressive. If anything, this might cause them to sell a guy like Ivan Provorov. So they're still in a good spot right now, unlike Montreal that's been losing a lot of late and are like hovering around 500. They're still at like a 55% points percentage. But yeah, it's probably not going to happen for Columbus. But this was still an amazing season where they far exceeded expectations. No doubt, the Utah Hockey Club, I'll go with 14%, winning some games of late, but a little bit too late. When looking at them, I just don't see them catching a team like Calgary, Vancouver, or Colorado. In terms of the teams that are right now in wild card spots, expect them to play a little bit better in these final 30 games and finish at around 85 to 90 points, similarly to a Montreal Canadiens. They're taking a very solid step this season, and you have to be happy if you're a Utah Hockey Club fan. Hopefully, Utah Mammoth soon. But yeah, if they make some big moves this offseason, they could definitely be in the playoff mix next year, but they would have to go on an insane run and get healthy with some of their defensemen coming back in order to make the playoffs this season. The Calgary Flames, I will go with 30%. It's going to be Dustin Wolf, and of late, he's not been playing that good. He's going to have to ball out for them to potentially pass the Canucks or the Colorado Avalanche in the wild card. And yeah, he's been struggling the last couple of games. Their team just overall is meh. It's objectively meh outside of their potential Calder winning goaltender. He's been awesome, but I don't know how sustainable that is. 30%, maybe even like 25%, I'm not going to lie. Calgary, 2 to 3 weeks ago, you thought maybe that they would be considering the Canucks were imploding, but we're going to get to the Canucks. They've been playing much better of late, and now it's looking like Calgary is yet again on the outside. Looking in, my New York Islanders, I'll go with 25%, although they've been on a hell of a run. What, 8 out of their last 9 games they've won? Still, man, just too injured in my opinion. I love Sorokin bouncing back in this way, but I'm not sure that they have what it takes to potentially make the playoffs. And as a result, I have them at 25%. I would love to be proven wrong, but yeah, right now, definitely an underdog to make the playoffs. The Boston Bruins, 28%. I watched both of their games against the New York Rangers, and more particularly the most recent game. I just don't think that they're that good. Outside of David Pastrnak, this offense is pretty inept. Did I say the percent? I said 28%, right? But yeah, that's what I have them at. Could make the playoffs. Maybe Don Sweeney pulls off some last ditch, try to hit a home run kind of move on one of these guys. But right now, I like teams in the Eastern Conference a lot more than the Boston Bruins. They just don't really scare me that much unless Jeremy Swayman really turns it on. I think that this team probably misses the playoffs. The Colorado Avalanche, 93%. I know you probably thought by me not having them in that like 95 plus that I was going to have them at like 80%. They're still going to make the playoffs. They only have like 58% points percentage. But yeah, this team is still far too talented to make the playoffs. Wouldn't surprise me if they have another move somehow up their sleeve. Natchez has really hit the ground running in Colorado. They're going to be fine. They're going to miss the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. Did I just say miss the playoffs? They're going to make the playoffs, no doubt. Don't worry about it. The New York Rangers, I'll go with 39%. It's definitely possible. JT Miller has been a good ad for this season. Will that result in them kind of clawing back? Right now, they're a decent amount. I think they're like 4 to 5 points behind the Senators and Red Wings when you look at adjust for not just the points as well as the points percentage. They're going to be in the mix. They're definitely going to be in the mix, but I just still have far too many concerns about their defense core, where right now I would lean towards them not making the playoffs. The LA Kings, 92%. I also think that they're pretty safely going to make it. They're hovering at around 60%. Points percentage just got Drew Doughty back. So yeah, they're going to be a safe playoff team. I don't really see them falling out and having like a Calgary or a Utah potentially replace them. They should be good in terms of making the playoffs. The Detroit Red Wings, 36%. A month ago, I would have said like 7%, but then they fired their coach, Derek Lalonde, brought in Todd McClellan. They're 15-4-1 under him. It's been really awesome. They've completely turned the season around. Still would lean towards them missing and having teams like Ottawa or Tampa Bay that we're going to get to. Spoiler alert, Tampa Bay's next, making it in over them. But yeah, they're firmly in the mix. I have them above Boston Bruins, above the New York Islanders at this point. I think that they are a serious threat to potentially make the playoffs. For the Tampa Bay Lightning, 79%. Big wins over Ottawa, winning both of those games. They're now in that third Atlantic spot. I think that they're going to get it done. They're just such a well-balanced team. Maybe don't have the most depth, but I just cannot see the Tampa Bay Lightning not make the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me if they do something aggressive at this deadline, like they seem to always do. Hopefully it's Hagel or Barclay Goodrow and Blake Coleman kind of deal and not a Tanner Jeannot deal a couple of years ago that didn't do jack dick. But yeah, it would not surprise me one bit if JBB is cooking up something spicy. The Canucks, 67%, have won 5 out of their last 7, although maybe got less talented by trading JT Miller. Bringing in guys like Pettersson and Hedel definitely make the team a lot more balanced. And yeah, I think if there was a more challenging threat in the Western Conference, I would maybe pick against them. But I still think that they're just a better team than the Calgary Flames, and now that they've gotten it back on track, I foresee them making the playoffs. Honestly, Calgary should be like 25%. I have the Canucks at like 70%. So yeah, Canucks should be damn good. And then lastly, I didn't have the New Jersey Devils in that 95% because they've been playing like shit right now. I still have them at 81%. I think that they do figure it out. And they don't have Jacob Markstrom right now. Not saying Jake Allen is like selling them down the river. In fact, last night was simply unacceptable. They got outshot 40-15. You could have Markstrom back there and you were losing that game. But yeah, I think that the New Jersey Devils are too balanced of a team. They're going through a rough patch, but they've had multiple rough patches this season. I think that they figure it out. Maybe they don't even hit the 100-point mark, but I do foresee them finishing in that third Metro spot, especially when you look at the Metro. Like the Atlantic is the battle. It's the Red Wings, Senators, and Lightning versus, as well as the Boston Bruins still being alive, versus the Metro Division. It's just the New York Islanders and New York Islanders, New York Rangers, and Columbus Blue Jackets. It's a lot easier to get into that third Metro spot, similar to last year where the Islanders were like a 94-point team, but in a Metro spot. I foresee the New Jersey Devils still finishing in a Metro spot. I think that they're going to figure this shit out. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about these playoff odds percentages? Any of the teams that I have in the 95% odds, do you think potentially could fall out? Do you think that the St. Louis Blues or some team in the less than 2% could potentially make some noise? I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.